Who is the most prolific serial killer in the US? Is it BTK? Is it Gacy? Is it Bundy? How about Gary Ridgway? Nope. Try again. In the #1 spot is Samuel Little. He's responsible for killing at least 93 women between 1970 and 2005. That's more than Bundy, the Zodiac Killer, and Richard Ramirez combined. So how did he avoid detection and kill so many for so long? Sam Little was a drifter who moved across the country for decades, entering various neighborhoods where poverty, drug addiction, and unsolved murders are common. Little targeted marginalized and vulnerable women who were often involved in prostitution and addicted to drugs. During his interviews, he was quoted saying, "I'm not going to go over there in the white neighborhood and pick out a little teenage girl. That's the kind you get busted for. I stayed in the ghettos. I won't go in your world." Little's method of killing didn't always leave signs that the death was a homicide. A former boxer, he usually stunned or knocked out his victims with powerful punches and then strangled them. He punched with such force that when he struck one of his victims in the abdomen, he broke her spine, according to an autopsy report. With no stab marks or bullet wounds, many of these deaths were not classified as homicides, but attributed to drug overdoses, accidents, or natural causes. Their bodies often went unidentified, and their deaths were not thoroughly investigated. The Los Angeles Police Department dubbed him the choke and stroke killer, as he would often strangle a woman while pleasuring himself. He allegedly took offense at being called a grapist, as he admitted to erectile problems which made intercourse impossible. For decades, Little was in and out of jail serving less than 10 years, though he had amassed nearly 100 arrests for crimes that included fraud, shoplifting, solicitation, armed robbery, aggravated assault, driving under the influence, and sexual assault. In 2012, after being extradited to California on a narcotics charge, police collected his DNA, which matched 3 unsolved murders between 1987 and 1989. He was convicted of these murders and sentenced to life in prison without parole in 2014. In 2018, Little was willing to talk as he was hoping to move to a new prison. He preferred the Ector County Jail in Texas to the noisy, often chaotic environment of a Los Angeles County prison. He eventually confessed to a total of 93 murders that spanned 19 states from California to Florida between 1970 and 2005. Little remembered his victims and the killings in great detail. He remembered where he was and what car he was driving. He even drew sketches of the women, which were included in the public FBI data set. Little died in custody in 2020 at age 80. So what do we know about Little's childhood? Little was born in June 1940 in Reynolds, Georgia. Authorities believe that Little's mother gave birth to him when she was 16 and in jail. Little states she was a teenage prostitute who abandoned him on the side of the road. Little was brought up by his paternal grandmother in Lorain, Ohio. Little is known about what happened in that childhood home, as attempts to contact the family have been unsuccessful. He attended Hawthorne Junior High School, where he allegedly had difficulties with discipline and achievement, already showing signs of conduct disorder. By his own account, Little began having sexual fantasies about strangling women as a child, starting when he saw his kindergarten teacher touch her neck. As a teenager, he collected true crime magazines depicting the choking of women. Little's first crime was the theft of a bicycle when he was 13, landing him in the boys' industrial school in Lancaster. His whole thing was shoplifting, said a Mississippi detective. He shoplifted a city for 3 or 4 days and then would take the items to drug areas and sell them. Once he was done stealing, he would go out in the early mornings and look for women. According to authorities, Little was a charismatic psychopath, showing no sign of remorse as he discussed the killings. Investigators stated he was matter-of-fact about his actions and sometimes even chuckled about them. He once stated, "God made me this way, so why should I ask for forgiveness? God knew everything I did." So I'm curious to hear why you guys think we haven't heard much about Sam Little or his 93 victims. Why do people like Gacy or Bundy get all the attention?